Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Greenville, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Greenville, Texas. On every episode, Dennisha Denny will share Greenville's story through the stories of people who call Greenville home. This is Heart of Greenville.
Thank you so much for watching Heart of Greenville. Our show would not be possible without our sponsors, so I want to give a quick shout out to REMAX 3D Real Estate, who provides all of our real estate needs, whether you're buying or selling here in our community. I also want to thank Triton Networks. They are a business solution for you. It's a one-stop shop, whether you're looking for data, voice, cloud, or networking, they are here for you. Our guest today is Mr. David Laisure. I met him at the Farmersville Rotary a few weeks ago and learned that his father was the owner of El Sombrero. Here's my conversation with David. Hey y'all, I'm Dennisha Denny, your host of Heart of Greenville, and today we're sitting down on the third floor at the landmark on Lee Street at The Landing. And I have a very special guest with me today, Mr. David Laisure. How are you today, David?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show.
Absolutely.
So I want everyone to get to know you because they hear your name and they might not know who you really are.
Okay.
So let's start with the connection. Your father and your family owned El Sombrero here in Greenville.
El Sombrero, correct.
Yes, the Mexican food restaurant,
Yes.
the best Mexican food restaurant
you.
of all time. My favorite for sure. So I would love for us to get to talk about that history and how it started. And then I want to talk about you because I know you have a professional career and a life too. But I know our listeners and our audience, they know El Sombrero. If you've been here for the last 20 plus years, you have probably eaten at El Sombrero.
Yes, exactly.
So how did that all get started?
My dad started El Sombrero in 1958.
Oh, wow.
And it's basically right across the street.
Yes.
And you can still see some of the pink of the building because it was, our iconic color was pink.
Yes.
And my dad said that'll attract people, and it did. So he opened it up in 1958, all original recipes. And I started working there, my goodness, I was about 10 years old.
Oh,
and in
wow.
those days, you know, we used to have the bottled Cokes and Dr. Pepper that we got from here at the Coca-Cola Company in Greenville. And I used to have to stand on the Coke cases because I was a dishwasher. So I had to stand on the Coke cases to reach the sink.
How fun.
So my whole family was raised in the restaurant business. Matter of fact, when I graduated high school and went to college, I was a business major because I was going to have my own restaurant.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. What inspired him to create his own recipes and open his own restaurant? Do you know that story?
Yeah, he was a Marine. He fought in World War II. Matter of fact, he was on in the Battle of Midway. And, you know, he would cook for his buddies in the Marine Corps and stuff like that. And then that just kind of, you know, when he got out, he married his first wife. You know, she was a good cook. And, you know, they would make tamales.
Oh, yeah.
And he had like a little, you know, tamale stand. And, you know, he would sell tamales. And he goes, we can expand and get a little bigger, bigger. And then they found the building on Lee Street. And that's how it kind of got started.
Did he do that here in town? Sold the tamales?
Yes,
locally?
he sold the tamales out of his house, word of mouth, stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, I know. We have a lady that stops by the office periodically with homemade tamales. I'm like, yes, please.
Well, aren't they great? We have a
They're
lady in
so
Farmersville, and she makes the best tamales ever.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
so.
they're hard to come by.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I could see if you already had your built-in clientele coming by for your tamales,
Yeah.
it probably made that transition easy into opening a restaurant.
And that's how it kind of just snowballed. And, you know, it was when they first opened, I mean, I still have one of the old original menus that you could get like an enchilada dinner, which was 2 enchiladas, beans and rice for $1.
Really?
For $1.
No way.
Yeah.
How
So
crazy is that? What was your favorite dish there?
mine is going to be, I called it the Dick Special. My dad's name was Dick.
Yes.
And so it was 2 enchiladas with meat and queso and lettuce and tomatoes on top.
Oh, yum.
Yeah,
Yes.
and our queso was, you know, people came there for the queso a lot, and the hot sauce.
That's all me. Like chips,
Yeah.
salsa, and queso.
Yeah.
Like those 3 things, I'm in. Like
Yeah.
I ate there multiple times a week.
Yeah.
Especially when I was pregnant with our son. I ate there all the time.
Yeah, and matter of fact, you know, I have 3 daughters, and you know, on their birthday, I always say, okay, what do you want Dad to cook you, or Mom? And they all want El Sombrero, so they all have their favorites that we cook for them on their birthday. So.
How fun! You don't have to call Marie to come over and help. With
Oh
that.
no. Marie and I have a little competition. You know, we all know how to cook. And she always says, well, I cook better than you. I said, no, I have the original recipes. Dad taught me first. So we always have a little, you know, rivalry going on there. But she cooks great, like I said, but I think mine's a little better.
I think we need to have a cook-off.
Yeah, and then my
I wanna
mom,
be the
my
judge.
mom gets in there too. She goes, "No, I'm the best," so yeah.
Game on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's really cool. What are some lessons you learned growing up in the restaurant and with your dad and things like
My
that?
dad was one of those, like I said, he was a former Marine, and, he was strict, but he was always of the mindset, if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability. Don't halfway do it. And he said, give it all you got. He goes, if you dig ditches for a living, he goes, be the best digger out there. And
Right.
that just kind of instilled in me. He goes, you start something, like playing sports. Growing up, I
Right.
played sports. And he'd always sit us down. He'd go, son, if you're going to play baseball, I'll sign up and pay for it, but you're not quitting
That's
mid-season.
right.
He goes, Laisures don't quit. And, that instilled that into all of us, so.
I
And
love
like I said,
that.
I've been working since I was 10 years old, so.
Did you ever resent that as a kid and through your teenage years?
Well, once I started driving and was in high school, I kind of did because I wanted to, get off, go with my friends on the weekend and, with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. But, nope, sorry, it's Friday night, one of our busiest nights, and Saturday, you got to work.
Right.
So that would kind of come in and goes, man, what did I get myself into? And then I'd have to sweet talk my sister or somebody. My dad would say, well, if you get somebody to cover you. So, I'd have to bribe my sister, with a little money or, some, cook or something.
Right. Or switch out with her for another
Yeah,
day.
I'd switch out with her,
Yeah.
So, but
Well, that
it was
good.
great, like I said.
So you mentioned you thought you would do the restaurant business too.
Mm-hmm.
What changed your mind?
Well, once Cindy and I got married, I opened up a restaurant in Farmersville. That's where I
Oh.
live now. And I was young. I was like 19 and a half, still going to school and trying to do both. And and we were trying to start a family.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just way too much because the restaurant business is so time consuming.
Yes.
And, I couldn't juggle everything with school and everything. So, I'd only signed a 6-month lease on this building. And then after the 6 months, I didn't renew it because it was just too difficult
Right.
to do. And then so I went back to help my mom
Was
and
it
dad.
Mexican food
It was
also?
exactly. It was El Sombrero #2.
Oh, okay.
And exact same recipes.
Okay.
And so I went back to helping my dad. And then, I wanted something different. I'd kind of gotten burned out on the restaurant business. So I changed it to criminal justice.
Oh, that's a big change.
Yeah, that's a big change.
What inspired you to do that?
Well,
To choose that field?
ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to do something, be a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I had the restaurant, so that's where my dad was kind of gearing me towards. And so it's just something I'd always wanted to do since I was a little kid, and I had an opportunity to do it now. So
that's what you went and did
and
in
that's what I
college.
went, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what was that career like?
Oh, gosh, it was great. I did it for, over 28 years.
Wow. Well, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. And I actually retired in December of 2016.
Oh, wow.
And great, but with everything, you have the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a detective and I worked some rough crimes and stuff like that. But wouldn't change it for the world. Made some friendships that I will treasure till the day I die.
Right.
You
Where
know.
did you serve mostly?
In Farmers Branch. I
Okay.
started my career at the Rockwall Sheriff's Department. And I was barely 19 and a half or 20.
Oh, wow.
And they hired me because I was bilingual in Spanish. The first lieutenant goes, do you have any skeletons in your closet? I said, no, sir. Well, I'm going to do your background, but I'm going to offer you a job.
Oh.
So I remember going to the 7-Eleven. We didn't have cell phones or nothing.
No.
And I used a paid phone to call Cindy, my wife. I said, well, what do you think? She goes, oh, my gosh. And I said, we're going to be rich. They're paying me $7.29 an hour. So, yeah, so that's how it kind of started. And then from there, I went to Roy City and worked in Roy City for about
Okay.
8.5 years. And then my buddy went to Farmers Branch. And I finished out my career in Farmers Branch. So I spent the majority of my career in Farmers Branch.
How did your dad feel about you going into law enforcement?
He was it was a hard pill for him to swallow. He admired that I was wanting to do that, but him and my mom were scared and nervous because of the dangers that come with the job. But I sat down and talked to him. I said, Dad, I really want to do this. He goes, well, this is something what you want to do, but you give it 100%. I said, oh, I will. And so but he was happy and proud for me.
That's
So.
awesome. I'm so glad you got to do that. I know you and Cindy have 3 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like being a police officer and raising 3 daughters?
It was tough. It was tough. Because, I worked, you start off as a patrolman, I'd leave, and I worked mostly deep nights. That's what I like to work. And then my daughters, when they were getting older, they would draw me little pictures, and as I'm getting ready to leave, they would all cling to me, Dad, don't leave. And, that was tough. And then I missed Christmases, birthdays, holidays, because law enforcement's 24 hours.
Right. And before if you don't have seniority,
yes, you have to
take
work.
those off.
And, I remember calling them, reading them the night before Christmas from my squad car, but they were very proud. And, but like I said, it was just a great experience.
Did you ever have a moment that you didn't think you were coming home that night?
Yes. Yeah, I had several of those moments. And just, and that's part of the job, and worked some horrible cases, but the good Lord kept me safe. And, always carried the little, I had my vest, but I had a little New Testament Bible. I used to carry the little Gideon Bible.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a little pocket here where you wear your bulletproof vest plate. And I'd always carry it there, and, I'd pull it out and read it on my time off. And I said, well, if I'm going to get shot, at least, they're going through the Bible first.
That's right.
So, but.
Well, you literally kept his word
yes,
near and dear to your heart.
I did. And I still have that little Bible, at my
desk. Did someone give that to you?
Yes. It was when I was working in the jail in Rockwall. I started off as a detention officer. They had prison ministry that they would come. And so one day, one of the ministers says, hey, young man, here's a, little Bible, a little Gideon Bible. And I took it and, just kind of ran with it, and I've had it ever since.
That's really cool. That's so special. So do you ever carry it with you now? Do you feel like you're missing something sometimes?
Yeah, I do. I have it in my office, and I keep my other Bible there, and I, read the word before I get started, but, I always have it close to me, so.
I love that. What was the most rewarding part of being a police officer?
Helping people and, being able to make a difference. I know at Christmas time, we'd always adopt families and stuff, and you'd see people that, didn't have anything when you'd been on a call. So we would get together with our police association, and we'd get around. I'm blessed. I have a roof over my head, and I have, a warm house, and some of these people don't have heat, don't have food. Yeah. And we would go and, we started, gathering, food and Christmas presents for the little kids, and just to see the kids that they were going to not have no type of Christmas, and then no meal, and then just being able to do that.
Right.
And,
it has to be heartbreaking because what your family has at home.
Absolutely.
And then to see that these kiddos are going to have nothing.
And we were blessed, beyond what we deserved. And these people here just want something warm to eat and a warm place to stay. Oh. So that was extremely rewarding. And then just, a missing child goes missing, and then you find the child, reunite the child with the parent, and that was not always the case. But,
I bet that had to be sleepless nights too. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't be able to sleep till I found the child found clues.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes we'd work straight through our shifts and stuff like that. But, and then, having 3 daughters and, having to bottle everything up. I couldn't come home and talk to them or my wife. It was just too stressful. So I watch reality shows is how I decompress.
Really?
Or cooking shows.
How funny that cooking comes back around.
Yeah.
So that's how you coped with that then?
Yes.
You couldn't come home and...
Yeah, I mean, I would talk to my buddies and stuff like that, but, my wife's like, I can't handle this, and, my kids were too young. So I'd watch, all kinds of reality shows and stuff like that, and, that was my release. And I will say this, and, at Christmas time, I like watching the Christmas Hallmark movies.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Even though
and my
you
wife
know how
makes
they're
fun
going to
of
end.
me. My wife says, I can tell you how this is going to begin, how it's the middle, and how it's going to end. I said, well, feel-good movie.
It is. They are feel-good movies.
And then my other 2 daughters, my oldest daughter's like me, she watches them. And then my middle daughter, Lauren, that I call Boogie, she goes, Dad, those are just, how they're going to end. She's like my wife.
Yeah.
So then we got her hooked on watching them. And the other night, my wife, we're watching one. And I was about to turn the TV off when we went to bed, and she goes, if you tell anybody, I'll kill you. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, I'm really getting into this Hallmark movie.
Oh, and now you put this in a
yes,
recording.
I put it on
David,
a recording
you're
now.
A dead
so,
man.
Yeah, I don't know. I may have to open up another restaurant now to survive, but... Yeah, she goes, I'm getting into this one.
I love that. But that's cool that you do that together. I
Yes.
mean, that's the thing. They're such romantic movies, so it's sweet that y'all do that together.
We sure do.
So.
She'll sit on the couch, she likes playing Candy Crush on her phone.
Oh,
and I'll sit there and watch them and stuff like that. And every now and then I'll see her peeking up, And I'll say, oh, it's interesting She goes, well, there's nothing else on. You see either that or football, so... Yeah.
That's fun. I love that. So now that you're in retirement, you get to work with her, right?
I do. See, when I retired in December 2016 or January 2017, I was going to go work at Cabela's. I've been working since I was 10,
right.
Just to have something to do. And she goes, why don't you try the insurance business? I go, I was a cop for over 28 years and a detective for, the last part of my career. I said, that'll never work. That's oil and water. She goes, just try it. She was afraid I'd go to Cabela's and spend too much money.
I'm sure.
So I went and got insurance license, and absolutely took to it like a fish to water, and absolutely
Really?
love it. Yes.
So how did that happen? Like, did you just know someone that
Well,
was in the business?
my
or-
wife's dad started Farmers Insurance in
Okay.
Farmersville, and he started it back, I think it was in '86.
Okay.
And he started as a scratch agent with 0 policies, and then Cindy went to work for him a few years later, and she'd been working with him up until he retired in 2016, and then she took over the business. And so, I went to work for her, as an agent. And, people say, well, y'all don't kill each other. I said, no, she has her office, I have mine. I do my thing, she does her thing and stuff. So
And you still sit together and watch
and
Hallmark
we still
movies.
sit together and watch Hallmark movies, absolutely.
I love that. That's awesome.
So, yeah, that office has been in business for, over 35 years there in Farmersville.
So what's your role there now?
I am an insurance producer. Cindy's the actual insurance agent.
Okay.
So I'm a producer, and I specialize in life insurance and commercial insurance.
Oh, wow.
And Cindy does everything else. She's
Okay.
the pretty face, and everybody knows her and stuff like that. So, I do some marketing and stuff like that out in the fields, and I go to Rotary and Chamber and stuff like that.
Yes.
So.
I think the life insurance part, even though people don't really want to talk about it, it's one of those things that's one of the best gifts
Oh,
you can leave your family.
absolutely.
And with you being in law enforcement, I'm sure you can really speak to that too.
Yes. And being a police officer, Lord forbid, you'd work an accident scene where somebody lost their life or, in another form or fashion. And bless their hearts, they didn't have enough money to bury their loved one. And they were this was before GoFundMe, and they were having to take a collection through the church or something. And I always tell people, I said, they didn't have time to mourn because they have to go try to bury them.
Right.
And I said, life insurance gives you, that luxury where, you're not leaving the problems for somebody else,
Right.
and you take care of that. And
Exactly.
I'm a firm believer in life insurance. And
Absolutely. Even if it's just the burial part, because that is such a stressful moment.
yes,
you're-
just to have something,
Yes.
that way the people left behind can grieve, and they don't have to jump right back into the workplace or, trying to figure out how am I going to make a living? How am I
Right.
going to pay for a wedding? How am I going to pay for my kids' college? And,
Right.
it gives you that security.
Yeah. It is a blessing
Yeah.
to have for sure. Okay, well, we're on Heart of Greenville.
Okay.
So let's take a few minutes and talk about what you love about Greenville. You grew up here.
I did.
So,
Go Lions,
Yes.
G-Town, and graduated from
Amen.
Greenville High School.
Me
You and I
too.
both
Yes.
are Greenville Lions.
That's right.
And I've always loved Greenville. I grew up here. Greenville's one of those towns that is small, but it's big.
Mm-hmm.
You can do things and go places and stuff like that, but it's not so big to where it's like no one knows anybody.
Right.
I remember when Dairy Dart was open. You remember Dairy
Yes.
Dart by the park?
Oh, I do.
I love
Oh,
Dairy
it's
Dart.
so good.
And Cindy and I'd go there and eat, or my buddies from high school. Everybody knew everybody. At having the restaurant, El Sombrero, all my friends from high school would eat there. All my teachers, principals, and everybody knows everybody. And Greenville's just always been that type of quaint little town, but it's not so little.
Right.
That's what I love about Greenville.
It really is interesting that we can, we have a population now, I bet it's going to come back close to 30,000.
Yeah.
But we can still go places and see people we know.
Exactly. When we got the Greenville Mall, I remember that.
Yes.
And thinking, man, we're in high cotton now. So
I love you say high cotton. We
yeah.
still say that too.
Yeah, high cotton,
Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
I know. And then they've converted it the way they have now, where
Yes.
you can just drive up and park and go into it.
Yeah.
I was so thankful that building just didn't sit and deteriorate.
I know. And
I
I
miss
love how
that-
they redo, the downtown Greenville. They're not
Yes.
letting it just sit away and, just be forgotten.
I know. There is so much energy and
Yeah.
life coming, and people ask all the time, why can't our downtown be like McKinney or Sulphur Springs? But our downtown is so huge,
Yes.
because we were thriving so much
Yeah.
during that cotton season,
Oh, yeah.
of life. And so I hope that we do get to that point, but it feels like it's starting to.
Yeah, it does. And like I said, my
Maybe-
mom still lives in Greenville, so I'm always in Greenville.
Yeah.
So
Maybe if you opened back up El Sombrero on downtown on Lee Street, David, that would bring it all back to
don't
life.
think I haven't thought about that. When I retired from the police department, I thought, and my father-in-law says, we'll go in together, get you a building and do this. And
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. And then he tried to get me to do it in Farmersville again,
Yeah.
but I said, no. I said, been there and done it. But that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I never rule it out completely.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, we could always, I tell you what, we could use another actual sit-down Mexican food restaurant downtown because we don't really have that downtown.
And the way downtown's getting revitalized again, I mean, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Okay, well, I know a realtor if you need one.
Okay, there you go.
Well, I really enjoyed getting to know you and
thank you
talking
for
to
giving me the
and-
opportunity.
Yeah,
to-
absolutely, absolutely. So what do you think's in your next chapter before we wrap it up?
You know, trying to get my daughter off into college, and then Cindy and I, we look to retire in about 10 years, and we want to travel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we love to cruise and, you know, just travel and just do nothing, basically.
Right.
Just, you know, go out and travel and see the world.
Yep, and walk and watch.
And
Hallmark
hopefully we'll have
Christmas movies.
grandkids by then, you know, and you'll take my grandkids hunting and fishing and stuff like that. So
That's exciting. You'll have a little window here where
Yeah.
you can go travel
Yes,
and do all
yes.
of those things, and then get
yeah, we're
back
about to be empty nesters here this time next year. So I told Cindy, I said, start putting our schedules together, you know.
That's
so,
right. That's
yeah.
awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to ask you your final question.
Okay.
So you're going to pick a number between 1 and 20,
Okay.
and that's going to determine your final question.
Okay.
What
It's-
number would you like?
Let me have 17.
Ooh, 17. Ooh, okay. What is one thing no one knows about you?
One thing that no one knows about me.
That's such a good question.
That is.
I don't. If anyone's asked it, there's only been 1 or 2 other people that ever picked
Yeah.
that number. Because then you have to decide. No one knows it, so are we going to tell it now?
Well, I guess, you know, there is times that I will cry at a Hallmark movie.
Oh.
And then I'll wipe my eyes thinking, you know, it's allergies and stuff like that. So I don't think I've ever told anybody that. So every now and then, you know, they're feel-good movies.
I
So, you know,
love
I might
that.
shed a tear or two.
Oh my
So.
goodness. Okay, does Cindy C do that?
No.
Okay.
She will now, I'm sure.
She's gonna be watching you
Yeah.
now.
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at from her Candy Crush.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Looking over and
Yeah.
checking out to see if you're tearing up. What is it about the movies that touch you?
They're feel-good. You know, even though you know how it's going to end, I mean, in a world, you know, such a chaotic world we live in today, you know, you can watch that, you know, it's usually a little quiet town like Greenville or Farmersville. You know, there's
Yeah.
always snow and, you know, it all works out in the end. You know, I
Yes.
think it gives us hope that, you know, it's never as bad as you think it is. It could always be worse, and there's hope. I'm a glass half full guy, you know, so I like those because those are always half full, no matter how it starts in the beginning. You
Yes.
know how it's going to end, so it
Yes.
makes you feel good.
I love that. I love to hear it from your perspective.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know it from the female perspective, but it's cool to hear it from a male perspective of
Yep.
what you see and why.
It's a
why you
feel-good
enjoy
movie.
It.
You don't have to know. You don't have to worry about how it's going to end. You know how it's going to end.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel good. So
I do sometimes think, are they going to make this one different?
Yeah,
Is this
yeah.
one going to be different? And
no,
but
not
it's
usually.
always
It's
a
still the
happy
same
ending.
thing. Yeah.
I've always felt like I need a part 2. Like,
Yes.
I want to see what happens after, like
You know,
how
funny-
they build their life.
Funny you should say that. I was thinking that the other day, thinking, man, they ought to have a part 2 to these and see. Okay, they met, they got together. Now,
And they
did
had
they
a
get married?
conflict,
Yes.
and then they got back together.
Yeah. You know, what's her life like now? you know?
Yes, I
Yeah.
want to know that. I want to see how they live everyday life, you
Yeah.
know, after
So maybe
that.
if somebody's watching and produces these movies, can do a part 2.
Yeah.
You know.
And we would watch.
Exactly. So.
Well, David, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you and to hear parts of the story of El Sombrero, part of our history, for at least our generation. That was such a big part of our history.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me on here, and it was a blessing.
Thank you, David. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you for watching Heart of Greenville. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Greenville, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.